Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys from Canada. You know we love you in Africa, but Big C, there's no one we love more than you good old boys down south in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, on a beautiful April the 2nd, 2018. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, is doing okay for us, but we were looking around, this past weekend at the White House waiting on the annual Easter egg hunt.
Oh, yeah.
But, the buddy found out that, the president was friends with guys with AR-57s and called it off.
Yeah, I figured that much. I thought when I saw that, how, bunny rabbits can read too, Big C. So they wonder why does he want me to come to the White House? He knows the NRA may have been, looking from around the corner. So we know the bunny rabbits are getting smarter because they're feeding them with better vegetables. Have a lot of good things going on in the world of sports. We had them good old boys getting ready for the Final Four of the National Championship game tonight with Villanova and Michigan. And combined, they have a 23-game win streak. They've earned their right to be there. Notre Dame has won more titles in college basketball than they've won in football over the last several decades since Lou Holtz left the place. And now we even have Major League Baseball having opening days for everybody. Some teams started on the road. Now they're coming home. But Big C, I just want to get your thoughts on this thing at the White House. I love this country, and POTUS was saying that we have a great economy. I think the Dow's down 458 points. And there's teachers marching down in Kentucky, and I think Oklahoma, because they want more money. Have they gotten the news that the president said the economy is great? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, also in Arizona, Charles, so we got 3 states right now where teachers are marching and they're on strike about less pay.
Yeah.
That they would like to pay raise because they do have a very strenuous job that they must operate every day, Charles. And for the government to think that teachers are not our future in America.
Yeah.
People say that the kids are the future. No, the teachers are the future.
They sure are.
Without them, the kids don't get a chance to advance.
That's true.
So you don't pay them enough, and I don't care what state you're in.
Yeah.
You just don't pay these people enough to babysit and educate your kids every day. Try homeschooling them and see if that's effective. But the amazing part about it, Charlton, is that the president doesn't speak up about the teachers being underpaid. He really rained on his tax breaks and all. You're going to get an extra $1,000 this year.
Yeah.
An extra $1,000. Now, teachers are saying that's not enough.
Right.
Now, if the main workforce in America is saying that that's not enough, then maybe they missed the boat and they didn't talk to the right people.
Yeah.
When they were talking about this $1,000 increase. Plus, when you look at all the stores and businesses that have closed up since he become president,
yeah.
I think they really have to take a second look, especially Sarah Huckabee Sanders,
yeah.
when she's making a case about what the White House is trying to do in their agenda.
Yeah.
But also, the president declared yesterday that April will be National Anti-Sexual Harassment Month.
Oh, really?
He declared that on April Fools, but,
yeah.
This is a guy who is trying to get a sexual harassment case dismissed in New York where a judge said that the case can continue.
Yeah.
And that, he is saying that, he didn't sexually harass this woman when he was running The Apprentice, which half the women that were on there were harassed by him, and he knows that.
Yeah.
But, for him to come out now and declare that, but, when you talked about the stock market taking a dip, Charles.
Yeah.
He said that DACA was over.
Yeah.
That he wasn't going to back DACA any longer. Every time he talks about something that's negative, the stock market takes a hit.
Yeah.
And so, here it is. He's talking about kicking 1.8 million Americans out of this country. I think his wife would be on that list also because she was here illegally. So, they have to look at the First Lady, her being deported.
Well, I tell you, it's funny when you look at, out here in California, you tend to meet a lot of farmers. And California produces as much agriculture and food for the country as any other region on the planet produces for the country. And a lot of the workers now, they're replacing a lot of these workers with machines now that do the same work. You can grab the machines where you want to grab them, and they don't complain, they don't call in sick. But there's not a lot of American born citizens that want to go out and grow produce and pick produce. And so I don't know about you, but the bunny rabbit that I ate over the Easter, Big C, it didn't seem as fresh as what I used to get from back in the day. Did you guys have some stale bunny rabbit too, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you talk about those farm workers, Charlton, and that's anywhere. They haven't produced a machine yet that can pick citrus or apples.
Yeah.
Mainly strawberries. Think about how delicate strawberries are.
Yeah.
Lettuce, cut heads of lettuce off the ground, and there's many other low-lying vegetables and fruits that require manpower to pick them, Charlton.
Yeah.
And when they talk about these people coming in, taking the jobs, and devoiding Americans of jobs, I don't see a lot of Americans lining up when the temperature is 100 degrees outside here in the summer, looking for those labor jobs, Charlton.
Yeah,
whether it's in construction,
yep.
Building houses, going out doing farm labor, Charlton. When you have to pay these people in some states the state minimum wage.
Yeah.
Americans who would take the job, then you got to look at the price it's going to hit you at the grocery store.
Oh yeah.
And other things. So no one equates that.
Yep.
They keep crying, saying these people are taking their jobs. Well, go out and take their job then.
Yeah.
If that's the case, if that person's working,
yeah,
and you're a legal citizen, why don't you go apply for that job?
Yeah, we know that's all part of politics, Big C. It's all politics. I do want to say this segment sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. I was watching this thing on the Cadillac. They have a car called the CT6, and this good old boy was driving it, and you could drive it on the highway without your hands on the steering wheel. And I said, that's really impressive, Big C, but I know a lot of you guys down south been doing that for years without self-driving cars. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, that's a normal state of mind down here, Charlton. Every now and then you got to turn around and look at who's doing something in the back seat.
Yep.
And especially when you had kids that were young. You always turned around to break up some mayhem that was going on in the back seat. So you took your hands off the wheel. I don't know if it was legal or illegal.
Right.
But we did that. Maybe, everybody was videoing us, as we rolled through some of those red lights with those cameras.
Yeah.
Hey, we need to make that technology.
That's funny. And are we there yet? We know that's like with the kids for a long trip. They always want to know, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Well, obviously we hope that they have great success with self-driving cars, but a lot of people have been doing that a long time. I do want to just touch on a few things. I know we love March Madness. We love everything that goes into college basketball. And I know we talked last week about how the president of the NCAA was saying they got to look into how they can start paying people, the athletes that bring in the money, because no one's paying tickets, and CBS is not paying nearly $1 billion to watch coaches walk up and down the sideline and yell and scream. They're watching players, for the most part, young African-American players, and they've made it almost criminal when a young kid that may come from a background that's not considered mainstream or middle class, and that may be a door that opens up for a lot of people, but we know it's about 1%. But the fact that he said he's dismayed of some of the things going on for people who are hungry and want to eat, and how sometimes, boosters or people with the know, they pass out envelopes full of cash. I hope that as we see the coronation of the national championship basketball game tonight, Villanova and Michigan, do you think they will even touch on that for more than about a 30-second soundbite, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, that's something that's a faux pas, and they don't want to bring an issue to it on a national spotlight scale.
Yeah.
Everyone understands that, these players can be compensated. And it's very easy to compensate. You and I have broke down the equations of how to make that easy to pay out on these skills. I mean, you got two coaches tonight, multi-million-dollar contracts.
Yeah.
Take 10% of their contracts. Set up a pool for the players that are on the team, and that's how those players are compensated. You do that in every NCAA sport with every NCAA university. Whatever that coach's contract is, 10% is allocated out for the players of their teams. Yeah. So it's an easy equation to do when people say it's hard to pay the players. How do you pay them? Real simple, like any other pay scale in America. It's simplified. Yeah. However you want to do it. Yeah. Yeah. But these players, and we see the bonuses that these coaches are receiving being in these games tonight, $100,000 bonuses. I mean, they're receiving six-figure bonuses for coaching in these games tonight.
For 2 hours.
And these players, they're going to get, a cap, a T-shirt.
Don't forget the shoes. Don't forget the shoes, Big C. They're going to get a pair of shoes.
Well, they may get to keep the shoes they played the game in. Okay?
Yeah,
they
yeah.
get to keep those.
Yeah, they get to
But
keep that.
You have to look at how can you make this equitable.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark Emmett is going to talk about, well, we got to look into this. Well, you think about this. We got the FBI looking into college
They beat him to the
basketball.
punch. Yep.
It took the FBI to look into college basketball, just like they're looking into the White House.
Yeah.
For the NCAA decided maybe we should pay these guys.
Yeah.
That we've been ripping them off forever. That we have collusion going on here
Yeah.
against these players, and this is illegal.
Yep.
There are slave laborers making us. I mean, and you can go back to the Civil War time.
Yeah.
Early America, where African Americans made white people millions of dollars.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And they're still doing it.
Yeah.
They're still doing it. And
Yep.
everybody saying, well, you don't want to pay them because now all of a sudden, they're no longer amateurs.
Yeah.
Hell, half the teams are paying players anyway.
Yeah. And I'm glad you bring it up because it's an antitrust violation not to pay people for their labor. Especially just like the days of Jim Crow, you profit on this free labor, and that's how this country got so strong for the white population. It's not because they work any harder. It's not because they're any more educated. You could do your own experiment. You could take 2 kids, give one everything from money to loans to education to entitlements, and then come back 100 years and take your other kid and give them nothing but a pat on the back and a congratulations, tell them you appreciate them. Which one can buy more real estate? Which one can open more businesses? Which one can even make their lives better? Which one can bequeath to that next generation? And the fact that it's gone on for so long with impunity, no one ever questioned it because they want that one shining moment. I got to do Teddy Pendergrass some justice. One shining moment. Okay, he sang it better than I do. But he made millions because he was paid on his talent. And every time Teddy's song comes on, his trust or his estate, they get money, Big C. And it's just a shame that we use every opportunity to say when it comes to paying black Americans, just like in the antebellum days and during Jim Crow, well, it's complicated. Well, if it's complicated, don't pay anybody, put the money in the trust. And that's real talk, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, nothing's complicated until it dips into that guy's pocket.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that's complicated about it. I don't know how to put my hand in my pocket and steal what I have.
Yeah.
That's the only thing complicated.
Yeah.
You know how much money is coming in.
Yeah.
You know how many players are involved.
Yep.
Very easy to do the math.
Yeah.
If the math needs a negativity on your side, you don't want to give it up.
Yeah.
It's like in lawsuits. Nobody wants to lose a lawsuit.
Nope.
Because it costs you money.
It sure
But
does.
Here's a situation where everybody knows that the players over the decades in college football have been taken advantage of. We brought this subject up when we talked about the Negro Leagues, and everybody talked about Branch Rickey,
Yeah.
Integrating baseball. Branch Rickey didn't integrate baseball. Branch Rickey saw a business opportunity.
Yeah.
Is that he could take the money from the black patrons from going to the Negro League games
Yep.
and sell them the cheap seats that whites wouldn't buy in the major league stadiums if they brought in a few black players.
Yep.
That's what Branch Rickey did. It wasn't about integrating baseball. If it was about integrating baseball, why is the black population in baseball falling so dramatically?
Yeah.
Because you can get a Latin American player who looks black and say that that's filling the void, but it's not. And so it's the same thing that you look at here in the NCAA, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, track and field,
Yeah.
swimming, whatever, Charlton.
Yeah.
You look at these sports and you think about it. Olympic athletes can compete as swimmers, as professionals, okay?
Yeah.
They can be on a professional circuit. They got sponsorship. We look at Phelps. You look at Ryan Lackey. These guys are making millions of dollars outside the pool, but they were considered amateurs.
Yeah.
They were white, though. You think about that. They were white, and they could compete. But now you're saying, okay, you can pay the white amateur athletes, but you can't pay the black amateur
Yeah.
athletes.
Yeah. And see,
And you think about college basketball players playing in the Olympics.
yeah.
And they have to be amateurs.
Yeah.
They can't be NBA any longer.
Yeah, that's true. And the only reason that has gone on unchecked for years, and you'll have the president of the NCAA says, well, I'm dismayed that kids are taking money and letting somebody give them money. I mean, you can even look at any society where you don't get paid for your labor, you're probably going to starve to death. Okay, that's why we don't let our veterans starve. Supposedly, allegedly, we don't. But I just want to say that tonight's the coronation of one of the biggest, I guess, hoodwinked opportunities that people have ever had, and that's considered the exploitation of young black players. Now I know there's some Caucasian brethren too that play the game. We know that, but we've talked about it before. Even during the days of Jim Crow, and also the antebellum days through all slavery. A lot of generations could bequeath land and real estate and property onto their future generations. So that's where a lot of mainstream got built up. You can go into any bank right now in the United States of America, and a lot of people are going to do that. And we know there's proof that white Americans can get a loan easier than people of color. It's called redlining. You can Google it. So we know all this garbage has happened, but for people to act like they're ignorant of it, we can't let people be ignorant when they follow Big C Sports. You can follow other networks for that. So I hope that the president of the NCAA will bring attention to that. If not, at least get some lawyers that will do it. And I know one thing I'll bring up. If the president of the NCAA, and he says, well, we want to look into it because we want to find a way to fix this. A judge, a court of law, if they know that you've been stealing money, you've been illegally attaining money, they don't let you figure it out later. They put a lien on your assets, Big C, and they figure it out. That make any sense, Big C? That's not too much to ask, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it's easy to put the NCAA's money into a frozen account, Charlton.
Yep.
Very easy. But then they're going to say, well, we're not getting paid. And we are the first two to get paid. We'll think about the players later. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Whatever we come up with a denomination that the players we feel should have,
yeah,
then we'll do that down the road. But, it's like statements from the White House.
Yeah.
Now is not the time to politicize this.
Yeah.
You take a poignant issue that's relevant at the moment, and you move it to the back burner so that people will forget. The NCAA tournament will be over tonight, okay?
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, they'll be talking about the NFL draft every day. We're talking about it now. So no one will think about the NCAA championship. So the NCAA is buying time because they know once this is over, all the interest in America will move on to the NFL draft.
Yeah.
You got Major League Baseball that just started, so it's still in its embryonic first month stage.
Yep.
So that's where all the interest will slide to, as well as the NHL, the interest in that. So they will get a skate.
Yeah.
And they won't be talking about it. You won't hear any interest about college basketball in 2 weeks. No one will say anything about it, Charlton. So this is what they're doing. They're going to go into their hiatus. They're going to use the other sports to hide what they should be doing. The season will tip off next year in as they say, a Midnight Madness charade that they have on a broadcast network. And no one will have gotten paid, or no one will have made an agreement on how much the players should be compensated.
And I know that we hope that they bring it up. I do want to just touch on a little bit, and after I do this, I want to get your thoughts on what are some of the better Final Fours or national championships you've seen back in the day. I look at Villanova coach Jay Wright and also Michigan coach John Beelan, and they were being interviewed by CBS Sports, and they were all talking about how they're so proud of their teams and their schools. Michigan's 33-7, and then Villanova is 35-4. And when they were asked all the questions about what it means to be here, and we know Villanova's going for their second title in 3 years, and Michigan's trying to get their first one. But in all seriousness, because the FBI came out, and I'll never forget, I got to bring this up. I know the Ball family, Lonzo Ball and the Fowler and Melo Ball and those kids, when they had the issue in China where one of the kids was, I guess, part of a shoplifting thing, that meant taking something and not paying for it for a lot of you good old boys. And the NCAA does that to kids. They take things without paying for it, called labor. And the fact that their labor is so valued, Big C, that they get $1 billion from CBS Sports. But them good old boys, as much as people applaud them and pat them on the back for winning, they didn't say anything about how we want to do what we can in our power to make sure that we don't exploit those kids that we say we love, that we say we care about, that we tell their parents we're going to treat them like they're our own children. I'm sure they give their children money, Big C. And I would like to just ask, at what point do we even hold coaches accountable as opposed to saying, well, it's too complicated, let's not talk about it right now, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, coaches will never be held accountable because you got to hold the NCAA accountable.
Yeah.
It's easier for a university to fire a coach and say, okay, he's had some improprieties within the program, and so we're going to move on and we're going to terminate his contract. But when you speak about the kids from UCLA, the incident that they were in, it's a forgotten thought. Because,
it sure is.
They got the players out of college.
Yeah,
they're gone. They're elsewhere. UCLA moved on.
Yeah,
but that's how disposable players are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No one ever looks at, what's going to happen to these young men 20 years from now, 5 years from now.
Yeah.
It was like, let's get rid of them.
Yep.
That's all it's not about. And so when you become expendable, and no one thinks about that, and how expendable these young people are.
Yeah.
Every year, schools go out and reload, retool.
Yep.
And that's it. The kids are like, there's afterthought. As you always speak about, we know who you are and we love you when you have a jersey on your back.
Yeah.
It represents our university.
Well, if
you don't have a jersey on your back, we don't care.
Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of network, they won't bring it up, but I'm glad we bring it up. I just got to bring this up too. I love this sport though. And because you love something, it doesn't mean that you tacitly consent to the egregiousness of the enmity that happens when you knowingly keep poor kids poor. And all the pageantry and all the lights and the one shiny moment, that does not justify stealing. When you go into a bank and you take some money that's not yours, what do? They call law enforcement. But when you're NCAA getting that $1 billion that comes in all the coffers and they turn a blind eye, they have to come to an end. But I do want to just acknowledge, when you look at teams winning, I want to congratulate Notre Dame for their success in winning a national championship. The fact that their last two games, Big C, came down to the last shot, I don't think the men can live up to it. And even though UConn got knocked off by Notre Dame, they had a great season. They've lost the last 2 years on a final shot. So that tells you how great they are. It comes down to the final 3 or 4 seconds to even knock off a UConn. But give me your thoughts on how important it is for Notre Dame, for their girls or the women's basketball team to be crowned national champion. And I don't think the men's football program has done it since Low Host back in the day in 1988, I believe. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you think about this. This is the first title they've won in 18 years.
Yeah.
Is the Notre Dame for a national championship on the women's side. But you think about the fashion in which it was done. You think about both semifinal games. First time in NCAA history.
Yeah.
That both semifinal games went to overtime.
Yeah.
We've never seen that on the men's or women's side before.
No.
And then for the game to be decided by Notre Dame on the last second shot, knocking out UConn.
Yeah.
Just a tremendous effort on their behalf. And Olawande, the young lady who hit the game,
she's amazing.
In the semifinal game and in the national championship game, although there's no time left on the clock.
Yeah.
She scored more points than any young lady in the last 10 years in the women's tournament.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So you think about her, and they didn't even try to get her to shot
no.
at the end of the game because she was like 6 for 22.
Yeah.
At that point, she just happened to get loose and raised up and hit a floating 3-point shot, Charlton.
Yeah.
But when you think about how magnanimous that this women's tournament was,
amazing
to have 4 number 1 seeds reach the Final Four, to have sellouts in Columbus, Ohio, electrifying crowds, delivered. You can only ask that. If you're in the NBA Finals, you're in the NCAA Finals, Charlton, there has been nothing more electrifying than the women's Final Four in Columbus, Ohio this past weekend. And you have to give kudos to the University of Notre Dame.
Oh, yeah.
You go in, you knock off the number 1 seed in the country.
Yep.
You knock off Mississippi State. Ironically, they've been runner-up the past 2 years. They lost last year's final, and they've lost this year's final. But Notre Dame having the heart and the soul and the courage and the fortitude, these young ladies, you take your hat off to them because they are true national champions.
Yeah, I really appreciate the way that they played. And so congratulations to Notre Dame. They have touchdown Jesus around the football stadium. They need to put touchdown Jesus around the girls' gymnasium, Big C. Good job, Notre Dame. Congratulations. Big C, when I think about champions, though, I know no one's done it more than, say, UCLA, West Coast program. But we're going back to the days of John Wooden. I believe UCLA's last national championship came back in 1995. And they had Tyus Anthony and a lot of other great players. I know they reached the finals a couple of times, and Kevin Love was on one of those teams. But when you think about the lineage, college basketball, and how great this game is, and how it really is one shining moment, the way the late Teddy Pendergrass told us. But I think some of the better things that I've seen in it, I go back to John Thompson and the Georgetown Hoyas. There was a time when Patrick Ewing, I have no idea how many shots he blocked, but it seemed like every time somebody challenged Georgetown on the lane, that put Georgetown on the map. What brings up to your mind some of the greater games and moments in history and Final Four? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, you first and foremost, you got to go back to Texas Western, which is now UTEP.
Yeah.
When they beat Kentucky back in 1966. They were the first all-black college basketball team to win a national title.
Yeah.
And even prior to that, Loyola Chicago, who made it to the Final Four.
Yeah.
They were the first team to start 4 African Americans when they won the national championship in 1963.
Wow.
You spoke about the dominance of UCLA when they had to run with John Wooden, where they won several national championships consecutive years, Charleston.
Yeah.
But also looking at the University of Arkansas, when they went on that great run with Nolan Richardson, talking about 40 minutes of hell.
Oh, yeah.
They just ran everybody, into the dirt back in 1994.
Yeah.
Just a tremendous firepower team. We look at Michigan. This is their first time having a chance since 1989 to win the national championship. That's the last time they won it. So, with Glenn Rice and led that team. But also think back to Louisville, some teams under Denny Crum, who had tremendous offensive power. And Denny Crum was an assistant of John Wooden when he was at UCLA.
Yeah.
So that's a team that, has gone great lengths in growing. I think about Jim Boeheim, at Syracuse.
Yeah.
Tremendous run that he had there, and when Indiana knocked off Syracuse with Keith Smart, under Bobby Knight, when he hit a last-second shot from the corner.
Yeah.
And everybody had Syracuse labeled as winning the national championship.
Yeah.
But, there's been so many great teams. You just look over the years, Charlton, that it's really hard to put your finger on one favorite. I think about UNLV.
Oh, yeah.
And Jerry Tarkanian that people thought might have, the national championship run of games. But they destroyed Duke one year. Duke comes back and beats them. Mike Krzyzewski puts himself up on the national ledger as being one of the best coaches around in the country, Charlton.
Yeah.
We think about, the coach at North Carolina, Roy Williams.
Yeah.
He was 1 in 2 places, Kansas and North Carolina. He won at Kansas with Larry Brown has won in the past. Then he goes back to his alma mater and wins the national championship, Charlton. But it's just so many great games. You think about Bill Walton against Memphis, the greatest shooting night in NCAA history, where he was 21 of 22 from the floor.
Wow.
Even though he gave up 35 points to Larry Keenan, the opposing center from Mississippi State, he still, was 21 of 21 from the floor. And I think about Jack Givens also from the University of Kentucky.
Yeah.
A great shooting night that he had against UCLA in them winning a national championship.
Yeah.
He scored 38 points, and he only missed 2 shots that night himself. But we've had some tremendous performances when you look at the NCAA, Charlton.
Yep.
Year after year, there's always some unsung hero that shows up that everybody thinks that they have it all picked out. But we get that guy who just said, hey, tonight is my night. And, when you think about Villanova, one of the great teams that play small ball in college basketball.
Yep.
They like to play that 3-guard offense. Michigan is a little more big and hefty inside. They're both tremendous shooters.
Yes.
But when you think about Villanova, they're the 3rd best 3-point shooting team in the NCAA this past year. And they proved it in this last game that they played when they hit 16 threes. This is a team that can shoot your lights out. And so Michigan is really going to have to play some stern defense and see if they can, make them shoot a little more inside that arc. Because if they get hot outside the 3, Charlton, and they won all their games by double digits, this could be a blowout tonight.
Well, I tell you what, it's really amazing to see the way Michigan came back in the second half. They adjusted against Loyola. And Loyola, whenever they had the lead at halftime, I think they were 24-0. But you look at Michigan, their offense averages 74 points a game. Their scoring defense, they give up 63. But their field goal, they shoot 47%, which is not the great. 3-point wise, they shoot 36%. So that's good for them because they're going to have some outside game. I look at Villanova on the opposite side of the fence, Big C. They average 86 points a game. So they're plus 12 on Michigan just from the start. Defense, they give up 70, but they can score high. So they can win a higher score game. For Michigan to win, they got to keep the game down a little bit more. 49% from the field, actually 50% if you look at Villanova. When you're making half of your shots from the field, that's a very difficult team to beat. Plus, when you look at the Big East, they have so many great teams up in the Northeast, and that's incredible, the fact that they've been so successful over the years. So no matter who wins tonight, it is going to be one shiny moment, and I'm just proud that young players, with all the adversity, with all the shenanigans, with the FBI looking in and the NCAA president saying he's not sure, that he didn't know that starving players would take money, Big C. But they have multi-million-dollar contracts, but they're still naive to that fact. I'm just glad that people have their heads out of the sand now, and they're not falling for that anymore. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, a high school team, even your mom and pop soccer leagues, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you at 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. So congratulations to whoever wins tonight. I'm sure that they can also mention that they want money. What the girl tell Eddie Murphy, I want half? She said, I want half. Eddie, was that coming to America, Big C? Your thoughts?
That was one of his on his skits, Raw.
Oh, okay.
Whatever I want half, period, you know.
Yeah.
She was broke when she met him, but she wants half of what he has now, even though she's always sit around the house.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. All fair and love and war. So congratulations to Villanova and Michigan making it to the Final Four and to the national championship game. I do want to touch on just one story with the NBA. I want to just say, up here in Northern California, Pat McCall was injured at a Sacramento King game, for Golden State and the Kings, and I think he was jumping up in the air, and he came down on Vince Carter, and Vince Carter felt bad about what had happened. He didn't try to undercut him, but I'm glad the young man is out of the hospital now. A lot of the players were really shaken up about it, especially the veteran Vince Carter, but I'm glad that people have come to the conclusion. No one on the Warriors and no one on, Sacramento thought that it was a dirty play, even though at the time, Steve Kerr, he was upset at Carter until he spoke to him later. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, in professional athletics, there's always a risk of injury.
Yeah.
And you never want to see anybody get injured, especially on a play that's unavoidable.
Yeah.
And, a lot of times when we see stuff in real speed, we don't always understand what happens. They bring back a replay and say, they can start analyzing it in any kind of way.
Yeah.
But if you don't intentionally go after the hurting play, and you think about Vince Carter, he's been around, 30, 35 years now in the NBA?
Yeah.
He's
long.
not one of those guys out there trying to make his name as a bully.
No, he's all class.
He's just waiting on his exit to get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
He's been around for a long time. He's been a tremendous player.
Yeah.
But he's a high character player also.
Oh, yeah.
You never heard of any problems that Vince Carter has ever been involved in. So I wouldn't think that anything that he was involved in was intentionally trying to injure another young player, Charles.
No.
And, you always wish the best when someone goes down, and it's good to hear that the young man is out of the hospital, because there's been so many unfortunate incidents in professional sports.
Yeah.
Where guys have been injured intentionally. I mean, I won't mention Ndamukong Suh's name, but, he doesn't play in the NBA.
Yeah.
So there's no need to bring him into this conversation.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, no one's trying to hurt anybody, not Carter. So, again, a class act Vince Carter, and I'm glad that McCall's okay. I'm glad that both players, with all the things that we talk about in sports, and sometimes players and officiating, they have a back-and-forth relationship, and sometimes, people make more of it than really should be made of it. But I was proud to see that with everything going on in sports and players having, sometimes fisticuffs or in each other's faces, they all came together. These are two division rivals. They all came together, and they prayed for the young man, and they wished him well, and I thought that was a class act. So congratulations again to McCall for getting out of the hospital. Over the weekend, the NBA had some great battles, Big C. And I look at, there's so much that happens in the world of sports. And the Thunder and the Pelicans, Westbrook had a triple-double to lead OKC over the Pelicans. 26 points, 15 rebounds, 13 assists. And Paul George, scored OKC's first 11 points. But when you look at Westbrook, there's something about him. I know they're playing for a playoff positioning. This guy, if they could make a video on what it looks like to show effort, because his effort, he brings it every single night. And I'm just proud of the way that he plays because he's not stealing money from anybody, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he's built his career on hustle. He's a self-made superstar in the NBA. You know, when he was at UCLA, he wasn't a marquee player in the country.
No.
But since he's arrived in the NBA, he realized that it's work ethic that makes you what you are. And you look at where Russell Westbrook is, Charlton.
Yeah.
When people talk about him and the dynamics of his game, he's only compared to one player now in the history. That's Oscar Robertson.
Yeah.
And you think about when people talk about you, they talk about you in possibly the greatest point guard of all time in the same breath.
Yeah.
You think about where Russell Westbrook is right now. You know, he's had 28 triple-doubles this season.
Yeah.
Okay, which leads the NBA. He averaged a triple-double last season for the entire season. Only first guy to do that since Oscar Robertson. If he can average 12 rebounds a game the rest of the season, Charles, he will average a triple-double again this year. So you think about the effort that he puts forth, and they brought in two superstars into that lineup, Carmelo Anthony and Paul George, and his game really hasn't dropped off.
No.
You know, everyone thinks that James Harden's game is escalated, and right now the Rockets seem to be slipping. But Russell Westbrook plays the same tempo every night, regardless of which team is in town.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really impressed with him. And also, another point guard that I've been on and just watching him grow. We know Damian Lillard out here in the West. You know, Harden's most likely going to become the MVP. But Donovan Mitchell, for the Utah Jazz, they got a win over the Timberwolves. Mitchell put up 21 points and 121-97 over the Timberwolves, which are playoff bound. I mean, both teams, there was a time Utah was on the outside looking in. But I look at Mitchell, the way he plays. He's another guy. Okay, he's not Steph Curry, and he's not, Harden. I don't even think he's Damian Lillard. But I can't say he's much more behind anybody else. I think he's on the same level as a Westbrook, just doesn't have the same thing defensively. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charlton, he's a system player. When you think about Westbrook, he's so dynamic.
Yeah.
Mitchell was playing within the system that's set up there in Utah.
Yeah.
Where you facilitate a little more. It's more team-oriented. You don't look for one guy to be dominant every night, of the season.
Yeah.
And so he's had that slow growth as a professional where Russell Westbrook is just a highlight film.
Yeah.
And everybody expects that every night.
Yeah. I mean, they're two out here in the West. You hear about so many key players, and since Steph Curry has been injured, you're seeing more of the guard play. So I'm really impressed with what we're going to see in the playoffs, Big C. Just covering the Kings and Jazz earlier this month or last month, just watching that guy play, really want him to get more attention. I do want to swing it down to where it's hot, where the bugs are as big as golf balls, Big C. I'm not talking about golf. I'm talking about those bugs they have down in Texas. But the Spurs to get a 100-87 win over the Rockets. Maybe the Rockets are coming off the gas pedal a little bit because they know it's healthier for them longevity-wise to be healthy in the playoffs, not now. But LaMarcus Aldridge, 23 points, 14 rebounds. Rudy Gay added 21 points. And the Spurs held Houston to his lowest scoring game of the season. Now, I know people pull their feet off the gas pedal. They have the number one seed in the West. They have the number one record in the NBA. But that team down there, coached by Pop, San Antonio, can't say enough about Aldridge, Big C. This is a team that everyone looks at Kawhi Leonard. He's probably not going to play anymore this year. But is Aldridge enough to get them past, at least, if they get into the playoffs, can they at least get past the first round? Is he enough by himself, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, the tremendous thing, Charlton, about the NBA playoffs is having that experience of being in there.
Yeah.
And that's what Pop and the Spurs bring, is that experience about being in the playoffs. They're not excited about being there. They know when they're there that they can challenge someone.
Yeah.
And a lot of coaching is done in the playoffs a lot more than the regular season.
Yeah.
We see as we get towards the end of the season how they handled Houston last night.
Yeah.
Chris Paul has been out of the lineup, so it's going to take some while to get him some continuity.
Yeah.
But San Antonio can make a run also.
Yeah, they can definitely make a run, and we know they will. And, I mean, every time we talk about basketball, especially out here on the West Coast, it's always about Golden State and Houston. But there are a lot of good players out here out west that are really making some things happen. I do gotta ask you this thought. Last night, Sacramento Kings and the LA Lakers division teams, and this is talk around the NBA that teams quit and that teams are playing for a lottery position. They want to try to improve their position in the draft, and maybe that's true. But as an athlete, I've yet to meet the athlete that says, let me take my foot off the gas, because even if the team's in a better position for the lottery pick, that player may not be in a position to come back to that team. So I look at the Lakers right now, 33-43, and then I look at Sacramento, 25-53, and the Kings got a 1-point win last night at Staples Center, and some people are saying it's a bad win. That's an oxymoron. How do you have a bad win when you're an athlete and you're trying to get your team into a playoff spot, Big C? Lottery pick aside, it's about, do you have the Russell Westbrook mentality? That's what is going to take the win, not getting the top draft pick. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlton, you got to think about the NBA, and you look at the number one draft picks over the last 5 or 6 seasons. Not one of those number one draft picks has come in and made that team a challenger for the NBA title.
No.
Okay? Philadelphia this year is going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it took them 4 years of having the number one draft pick to get to that point.
Yeah.
4 seasons, not one, 4 seasons. So these are the things you got to look at. And even their number one draft pick that they had this past season, Markelle Fultz, wasn't a part of that equation.
No.
He's been on the bench. So it's the guys that they drafted in past years. So you're not going to get that instant fix by thinking that you get the number one draft pick. Who is the number one overall draft pick, Charlton? It's a crapshoot right now. There's 5 guys that they're looking at could be number one overall. So I don't see by losing games and tanking going to make you better.
You know, when you bring that point up, I look at even the NFL. You look at the New England Patriots. They're one of the rare franchises, along with Pittsburgh. They're not saying who we're going to get to be the number one draft pick to come to the Patriots. The Steelers are not saying who are we going to find in college football that we can draft that will get us back into the playoffs. They don't even think that way. It's always the losing organizations that think a guy out of high or a college is going to come into the professional leagues and put a grown man on the unemployment line or on the bench. And I look at San Antonio in the NBA. I look at Golden State. They're not trying to say, well, let's lose some games to move up in the draft pick. They have players. They build their teams with veterans, even when the Raiders were winning games back in the day. It was the great Al Davis, the late great Al Davis. He built his championship teams with veteran players. They weren't always trying to lose and see who's going to be the best player in college that's going to turn things around. So when I hear some of even some of the media people saying, we need to lose these games so we can move up in the draft, the worst thing to overcome is a losing mentality. And now you want guys to lose on purpose. I just think that's almost disrespectful when a broadcaster would say we need guys to lose. Would that make any sense, or am I out of line, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I've always looked at teams, and even when I played, being in the playoffs was the greatest thing. Losing was something you hated forever.
Yeah.
Okay? And we look, you spoke about the NFL. When you look at the hierarchy of the NFL, it stays there.
Yep.
They're not trying to tank to get a number one draft pick.
No.
They will go out and find veteran players that can play. Even when we look at the hierarchy of the NBA.
Yeah.
And you look at the top 10 teams that's been there for the last 5 years, Charlton, they have not been tanking trying to get a draft pick.
That's true.
They'll go out and make a trade and get a veteran player that, enhances their lineup.
Yeah, that's important. So I'm just proud of teams that are on the bottom and they're looking up. Even Phoenix, they're not going anywhere. Phoenix has been giving teams a run because guys are playing for their jobs. Whether the team tanks it or not, or whether they get into the playoff spot, no player is going to be safe if they see you lazy and you're giving up. I mean, sometimes even Las Vegas has something to say about guys playing lazy, Big C. I know you wouldn't know anything about Las Vegas, even though you go down there and eat free on a lot of those, what they call those hoppers.
Hey.
I'm sorry.
We're not talking about the junkets when we go down there, okay?
We won't talk about the junkets.
When you walk out into a hotel lobby in Vegas, sometimes there's a food cart that somebody put outside the room. So there's always food available, out there in the hallways.
Yeah, that's funny. Every now and then when I'm down in Vegas, I see a lot of these tall and muscular guys walking around, and they always eat for free. They never pull out the credit card. They never pull out cash, and people always go, who is that guy? He's probably a pro guy if he's not Big C walking around down in Vegas chewing up some food. But congratulations to all the players who get to do that, and I really appreciate seeing some of the teams on the bottom playing hard. I want to talk a little bit about Major League Baseball. And one of your favorite managers, I look at how baseball is a tough business. 162 games. Joe Madden, the manager of the Chicago Cubs, the ones that wear the big C on the hat. Big C, I love that big C the Cubs have with that hat. But the skipper's 2,000 games that he's managed, and that's a milestone. Only 33 managers have 2,000 games and at least one World Series title. And 21 of them good old boys are already in the Hall of Fame. Your thoughts on Madden and the Chicago Cubs? What a great storied franchise, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Madden has been a tremendous manager ever since he's been in Major Leagues, Charlton. You think about the tremendous job he did down with the Tampa Rays, years ago, back in the 90s when he got down there and, early 2000s and turned that organization around.
Yeah.
And then, to come over to these hapless Cubs.
Yeah.
The laughable team that everybody loved.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he decided, let me get rid of some players that are just happy being here, okay?
Yep.
That have this veteran status is just stuck.
Yep.
They feel that they don't want to change their zip codes. I'll do that for them.
Yeah.
And he brought in some players that had his mindset.
Yeah.
They were hungry. They wanted to play the type of baseball that he managed.
Yeah.
And, you've seen that in two different cities, Charlton. But, when you buy into a manager, you make each other great.
Yeah.
And so that's what Joe Madden has done. He's gotten players that listen to his ideology about the game.
Yep.
And you've seen the success in the organizations that he's managed. I mean, everyone looks at the Cubs now as a contender.
Yeah.
Not a pretender any longer. They're a contender.
Oh, yeah.
And so, you got to praise Joe Madden for what he's done, with his length of career.
Yep.
The number of victories that he's put together as a manager, the World Series, Charlton.
Yeah.
Just a phenomenal job. And you think about all the teams that are in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
To make it to the World Series and win it, that's rarefied air.
Yeah, and you think just with Harry Carey, the late Harry Carey, the voice of the Cubs for years, and we know what happened back in St. Louis, some of the shenanigans they were doing, the Donald Trump thing with, who they know, what, all's fair in love and war behind the scenes, but there's some history behind that relationship. But just thinking about what Chicago means to the world of baseball, the same way the Celtics mean something to the world of the NBA, or the Cowboys mean something to the world of the NFL. And to have such success in a city that if you don't win, they don't have a lot of patience for you. So I just appreciate the fact that he's been we talk about that aircraft carrier, how it just chops through the ocean, Big C. And he's a stabilizing force for the Cubs that were laughing stock for many years, even by the people in Chicago. So I want to congratulate him for doing great and making the game of baseball great. Also in the world of baseball, in the American League, you look at Boston. We know how great baseball is when the boys at Fenway Park are doing things the right way. They're off to a 3-1 start. And they're trailed by the Yankees 2-2. We know that they have to have success, and also Toronto doing their thing with their start to the season. Really love our team from Canada. So we love that. But Big C, talk about briefly, when the Red Sox are on top of baseball, it's more relevant. Baseball is better when we have some of the marquee programs there. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the Sox have been a prominent power in the East for decades,
Yeah.
Charlton. They were like one of those teams like the Cubs could not win a World Series. Went over 80 years without winning a World Series, Charlton. And all of a sudden, you get the right manager in there, the right personnel. Theo Epstein put together a tremendous organization, Charlton.
Yeah.
And they catapulted to the top of the East. They became a perennial challenge to the Yankees, which had ruled that Eastern Division for decades, Charlton.
Yeah.
And so people in Boston now don't remember the days when they were not winning.
Yeah.
They expect that competitive team every year.
Yeah.
And the Sox are relevant just like the Yankees on the East Coast, Charlton.
Yeah.
You talk about a bitter rivalry between two organizations, regardless of what the standings are.
Yeah.
It's just a bitter love-hate rivalry between those two close East Coast cities, Charlton, and that's great.
Yeah.
From a competitive and a fan's perspective, to have someone that you can dislike that much,
Yeah.
but you also respect as much.
Yeah.
That's the greatest part about athletics and also being a fan.
Yeah.
Is that you can hate and love and respect all at the same time.
Yep, that's just like a marriage, Big C. You can hate and love somebody, but if you're a man, you're smart enough to say, I'm sorry, honey. Even if you love Richard Pryor, and he was always lying. I think Donald Trump loved Richard Pryor more than he'll let on, Big C, because when I saw that bunny rabbit standing next to POTUS, I said they know rabbits can read because they eat a lot of carrots, so you know they can see, Raw. They hear if you eat a lot of carrots, your vision's better, Big C. That rabbit was a little bit nervous. You can go all over Twitter and watch some of the things that people were saying about the rabbit standing next to POTUS. I hope the rabbit's not traumatized, Big C, but like a lot of other people who've dealt with POTUS have been. So that's fun and that's all great, but love baseball. I want to congratulate Bryce Harper. We know he was injured a couple years ago. 2 big home runs over the weekend. Did a great job in helping the Washington Nationals climb to the top of their division in the NL East. But I want to just mention, because I'm out here in the West Coast, the Dodgers and the Giants, that rivalry. The Giants have some good pitching, but they were blasted yesterday. But they've only scored, a couple of runs in their series with the Dodgers, even though the Dodger fans were upset because they were losing games by 1 run. Now it seems like that ocean has pushed that doubt up to San Francisco. There's some good old boys already in the Northern California Bay Area saying, we don't know if we have enough to make a run in the playoffs, Big C. That's too much to conclude in the first couple of games, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, baseball is a long, lengthy season.
Yeah.
Everybody's not going to get off to that great start. But it's about a series of streaks.
Yeah.
In baseball, you have those 5 to 10 game series where you'll dominate. And you'll get on a winning streak for that length.
Yeah.
And that will catapult you up through your division.
Yeah.
When you look at the Giants last year, they finished low in the division.
Yeah.
The Dodgers just dominated from start to finish in the West. So it's going to take a lot to unseat the Dodgers. And especially when you open up at home at Chavez Ravine against the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Everyone expected the Dodgers to play well. They didn't score any runs in their first game.
Yeah.
But they've made up for it ever since.
They're going to make it up runs. Them good old boys that you loved last year, and you pull for them. Well, you didn't pull for them. You just predicted based on some of the guys that they beat the Dodgers Game 7 in Chavez Ravine. I mean, all the stars were aligned. Tommy Lasorda ordered so much pasta that L.A. restaurants ran out of pasta. He was ready to celebrate so much, Big Z. But Houston came out here and got it done over the weekend. Them good old boys jumped on Texas 9-3 on Saturday. And the Sunday came back and did it again 8-2. Here's a team that scored 17 runs in 2 games. And this is when teams are trying to figure out, can they hit the ball? Big C, that's very promising for a team that won the World Series last year. They're still young, but 17 runs in 2 games, sometimes the football teams in Texas don't score 17 points. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is a team with a lot of young, great bats on it, Charlton, and that's the difference. They were very excited about winning the World Series last year. Tonight they're going to unveil their World Series banner at home in their home opener, Charlton. But, this is a team that went into training camp, not sitting on their laurels.
Yeah.
When they went to spring training, they said, hey, what is it going to take for us to repeat?
Yeah.
They had a couple of veteran players on the roster that have been in that position before at the World Series. They say, okay, you cannot be happy with what you've done.
Yeah.
You celebrated all winter long about winning that World Series. Now, day one starts today.
Yeah.
And they have not taken their foot off the throttle yet.
Yep. I'm impressed with what they've done so far. Everyone in the West has to look out. I know there's a lot of people challenging when you win a championship. Big C, as we close, I want to congratulate over the weekend Ian Poulter to force a playoff down at the Houston Open. Had a 20-foot birdie on the 18th hole to force it with Bo Hostler. Now, congratulations for winning that. And now it's on to the Masters. He was going to miss the cut had he not won that tournament. So that was ice in his veins to not only sink that putt from 20 feet out on the 18th hole to force a playoff and then to win it. But I also feel that going into the Masters, and so many people are hyped about the Masters, and I'm one of them, and I'm more hyped this year than I was last year. And that's because of Tiger Woods coming back. And I know that so many people are saying we want to see a great Masters and we want to see, the tradition like no other in the world and all that good old boy stuff. But Las Vegas is so hyped about this year's Masters pairings, and they just look at the fact that Tiger Woods coming back makes it a bigger thing to watch. And I think when you look at what's happening with Tiger Woods coming back and playing in the Masters, it may be one of the highest, most viewed Masters since he won his first one when his dad was alive back in the day. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I look at this Masters as a fantastic opportunity for golf.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Rory McIlroy coming off a phenomenal tournament just a couple of weeks ago, who has to be one of the clear-cut favorites.
Yeah.
Phil Mickelson is back. He won a tournament last month.
Yep.
Where he is going to be up on the top of the leaderboard starting off. I like Bubba Watson in this tournament. You know, he's been consistent over the last 5 years, Charlton. You got two lefties that you got to look at in the top 5. Also, Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
Tiger's biggest faux pas, Charlton, where is the driver going to be?
Hopefully at home.
Is he going to forget it in the back of the Cadillac?
Hopefully.
Or is he going to drag it out on the course?
Yeah.
You know, that's Tiger's only problem is his chance to win the Masters.
Yeah.
He can get enough length out of a 3-8 wood, Charlton.
Yeah.
He can.
Yeah.
And a 2 wood.
Yeah.
He can get enough length out of it. He does not need the driver.
Yeah.
If Tiger has any thoughts of winning the Masters,
Yeah.
and if he had a caddy with any stones,
Yep.
I would break the club.
Yeah.
If I'm the caddy, I'd break it. I get a cut of this. Remember, I'm breaking this club. I'll buy you another when the tournament's over. But that's if Tiger expects to compete in the Masters.
Yeah.
His driver is not his friend.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. I mean, you know, all the talk and hype is there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we're going to have the biggest TV coverage at the Masters we've had in 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's what all Americans are looking forward to.
Yeah.
Is that there's no March Madness going on this weekend.
No.
So that I don't have to worry about it. Baseball is too early in the season for people to worry about it. Hockey on frozen pond, we'll forget about that for the time being.
Yeah.
But right now, the Masters is much-watched television.
Yeah.
It's going to be dramatic.
Yeah.
If Tiger's in the top 10 come Saturday, golf won't be any better, Charlton.
Well, not only in the top 10, I think he's going to win it, and he'll climb that Majors Championships from 14 to 15. And the great thing about that, he has to realize, like what you just said, he doesn't have to hit a home run, to use a baseball analogy. Just get on base like Pete Rose did back in the day. You don't have to be Hank Aaron to drive the ball and keep it on the fairway. And when I hear one of my greatest, I love hearing this guy talk, when I hear Faldo talk about golf, and I hear some of the great broadcasters talk about golf, they're all saying the same thing you've been saying the last year or two. Quit trying to hit home runs. Now, if people know it, Big C, just like Darvish last year for the Dodgers, people on TV were saying this guy's he's televising his pitches. We know what he's throwing. People on TV knew it, but Roberts didn't know it in the World Series. Well, when you have some of the great broadcasters who cover golf for years, and they're saying the same thing that you just said, I hope that sinks into Tiger. Do you think he's listening, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you know, it's hard to teach an old dog new trick, and Tiger's gotten old. But,
42 is not old, Big C. That's the new 20, Big C.
in that industry, it could be a little aged.
Yeah.
But, you know, and you don't have the strength that you once had.
Yeah.
So you think that you can still go out there and drive at 330, 340.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. If you get it out there 300, that next iron will get you where you have to be.
Yeah.
So, you know, he can eat up that course with 2 clubs. He doesn't need to get that extra 30, 40 yards out of the driver.
Yeah.
And that makes the difference. I mean, so many athletes, we have egos. All of us do.
Yeah.
Is that we all think as we get older, is that we can do the things we did 10 years prior to that, Charlton.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what you have to do is the one thing that has gotten stronger over that 10 years of you being in the business is your mind.
Yeah.
That you can anticipate things more.
Yep.
And so he needs to anticipate when he walks over there and see that Tiger he ain't sitting on the club. That's not for me.
That's funny. Well, I think Tiger needs to listen to Big C Sports more often. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Bundini Brown. He would always tell Ali, with all you've got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm looking for an outstanding Final Four game tonight. We will crown a new champion in the NCAA, and it will come an end to this season and maybe an FBI investigation of college basketball for the year. But also, I want to go out and I want to pay my homage and condolences to the late Winnie Mandela, who passed away over the weekend, the former wife of Nelson, the great South African President Nelson Mandela, who was the leader of apartheid back when Martin Luther King was the leader of segregation
Yes.
here in America.
Yeah.
She lost her battle with life, but I want to sing my praises because she kept his battle alive when he was incarcerated for decades on Rainbow Island in South Africa. The late Winnie Mandela, who was a great civil rights leader for South Africa for decades, Charlton.
Well, that's very well said, Big C, and our thoughts and prayers go out to her family as being the one of the best human beings in the universe. And I just want to tell you, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage all on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.